Okay, I resized the table so it would be a little bit easier to see in the Zaption video. Basically, the main differences that we find between online reading and reading a book of some kind is that online reading necessarily has to be more active. So the learner starts, or the reader starts, with a particular purpose in mind, and they're really searching through the internet to find what they need to find. So skimming and scanning becomes more crucial for reading because the sheer volume of text that you find on the internet, most of which is not what you're looking for. You have a guiding question or a purpose that's in the forefront of your mind. So your purpose usually guides your reading in any kind of reading that you do. But on the internet, it's a much more active kind of purpose-driven activity, so you don't get lost or sidetracked. And then navigating, you have to navigate through the internet much more actively. With a book, you can just sit down and start from the first word and go to the last word, which is not the best, most strategic way to read anyway. But on the internet, you can't avoid, searching through and trying to find the text that you need to find. So it's kind of interesting to look at some of the specific types of questions that strategic readers ask. Let's go to this web page and look at it. So what kinds of questions do strategic readers ask when they are reading? I'm going to make this much bigger, zoom in, and zoom in again. And so some of the types of questions that strategic readers ask are pertaining to making connections between the topic and what they already know, or this reading and other topics or other readings that they've read about. Thinking about text structure, and that's what pertains to structure, strategy, training that we've read about in our readings. Just the idea that knowing whether this is cause effect or a problem solution text, and thinking about what that means, about what you can expect next in the text, can be really helpful for your comprehension. Monitoring your own comprehension, those are the kind of monitoring strategies. Visualizing, which we're going to look at in more detail later in this video. Retelling and summarizing, there's questions about that students can ask. Inferring, trying to understand the inferred meaning, the underlying meaning that's not explicitly stated. And predicting. So those are some of the kinds of questions that students ask as they read. Now let's talk about developing strategic readers through instruction. So there's specific kinds of instructional strategies you can use that can help to develop strategic readers. In concept-oriented instruction, this was a research project that really looked at what is the best way to promote strategic reading. And in Corey instruction, they did focus on developing strategic readers rather than only teaching isolated reading strategies. And this promoted intrinsic motivation, perceived autonomy, self-efficacy, collaboration, and mastery. So the Corey reading instruction that we read about in this module accomplishes this by making sure the instruction is relevant, that it provides for student choice in terms of what they're going to read and the topics they're going to read about or the books that they're going to read. It provides opportunities for success, so really making students feel like whatever level they're at, they're able to achieve something. It includes cooperative and group activities, so lots of interaction, collaboration, and cooperation. And it included thematic units, in other words, units around a theme or a particular content area that allowed students to get to know in more depth about a particular topic. So it included regular explicit instruction in reading strategies. It included vocabulary development, so specific and explicit development of vocabulary, which we will talk about in a later module in more detail. Coherent content and student choice. It included reading fluency development, again something we'll cover in more detail in a later module. Extensive reading, so students were reading books outside of the classroom, and it integrated reading and writing instruction together. So writing helps to foster better reading and vice versa.